All right, and welcome to the Hidden Tracks podcast, episode 3. We've successfully made it to the 3rd episode. Very excited to have my guest today. I have Thom Graney, otherwise known as GBALL from Critical Condish. He is one of my oldest friends, one of my closest friends, and now you can stop me whenever you want, Tommy, and let me know where I'm wrong, but I want to give a quick...
You're never wrong, Shane.
I'm mostly wrong. Quick background of our life together and kind of how we came together. So Tommy's about 2 years older than me and growing up in the same town, but really far apart. We were on a baseball team, championship baseball team, by the way.
World champion.
World champions.
World champion Little League team.
World champion Little League team. We weren't really friends when we were on the team because, again, he was 2 years older than me, and I was just one of those kids in the outfield. But later on in life, we kind of met up again, and I was brought to a party. Do you remember this at your house?
Oh, yeah.
So I was brought to a party at Tommy's house, and
just to go on the record, we were friends on the team.
On the team.
We became friendly on the team, right. But then, of course, the season ended, and we kind of
went
our separate ways.
We went our separate ways. We didn't hang out again. Again, you were 2 years older. It's kind of a big difference when you're that young and when you get to high school. So I go to a party at his house. Probably doesn't remember me, who I am, because at that time some time had passed.
I did.
Yeah, he says he does. He's trying to be nice because I'm the host.
You're in my house. I kind of had a policy of knowing, who the people were I let in my house at the time. So
okay, so he's gonna use that story, stick to it, and that's fine. I'll let him do that. But so the music stops in his house. Like I've talked about before on this, that when you're at a party, music always has to be on. Whether it's in the background, some filtered noise, you always need to have that. So he yells out from the table where he's drinking, probably playing asshole or some stupid drinking game like that, as you did.
What?
Somebody put music on. Now, so I get up, I go put music on, and I put on this band known as the Posies. He literally jumps up from his chair and goes, "Who the hell put this on?" And that led into our relationship from then on out. Am I wrong?
100%.
In that story?
I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember running out into the living room, hearing the first chords of like Dear 23. It wasn't even like the newest Posey out. It wasn't even Frosting on the Beater, you know what I mean? With the hit, Dream All Day. It was a deep track Posey song. And it just blew me away that somebody went into my room and grabbed a CD that wasn't, something, common. And I needed to know, like, what the heck? And that was it. And then we probably spent the next half hour just standing there in front of, like, the speakers of that stereo talking music.
Yeah, and from that point on, I really have to say sometimes I call him my concert husband because I'm known to go to a lot of shows. Pre-COVID, I was probably averaging going to about 7 concerts a month, and COVID happened, and it just so happened that the last show that took place in New York City on March 10th, I happened to be at, and Sir Thomas was supposed to be with me. It was a gift to him. We had VIP to Dashboard Confessional and the Get Up Kids. And
breaks my heart. Breaks my heart I had to miss that show.
And he couldn't do it. And it was literally the last show that was played in the city. So I was lucky enough to be there, and my concert husband couldn't be there with me. But
that's grounds for divorce. Missing that one.
Listen, it's in attorney review right now.
Okay.
But as it goes with music, and Tommy and I, we've gotten into a lot of different types of music. He likes stuff, I like stuff, and I want to get to the bottom of things. I want to truly dive into them. We've probably had these conversations before. I may not remember. I may remember as we're talking about them, but we're going to get into them. So Tommy, I got to say thank you so much for being here and supporting me in this and everything that we're doing here.
Oh, Shane, man, it's my pleasure. You've talked about doing this for a long time, and it always was a great idea, and seeing you put it to fruition is, it's pretty sweet.
I appreciate that. So I've talked about this. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to listen to some of the podcasts. And one of the big things that I want to find out about people is that transition in life. And it's not the transition that you may be thinking of, what's happening in a lot of people's lives today, but I want to say it's the growing up to music and finding music. And my biggest thing is always the first musical memory. It's that one thing that got you from Sesame Street to real music. Do you remember your first musical memory, the first time you heard something that was just completely different than the, Barney, I love you, you love me?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do. It's funny you bring up the Sesame Street because I had all the Sesame Street records. I mean, I was in love with, C is for Cookie and Rubber Ducky, You're the One, all that stuff. But the first song I remember going on and on about and like actually physically telling people was my favorite song was Abracadabra by Steve Miller, believe it or not.
Okay.
Listen, I was 6 years old.
Oh, I get it.
I'm not a Steve Miller fan by any stretch of the imagination. I don't have a single Steve Miller record. I couldn't pick Steve Miller out of a lineup. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think his wife could pick Steve Miller out of a lineup. Nobody knows what he looks like. He's like Bigfoot. But that song, Abracadabra, like just was so freaking cool to me as a kid, as a 6-year-old. I mean, that was a song I'd run around and just, did you hear the song Abracadabra? Does anybody know the song Abracadabra? It's my favorite song. And that was like the first real kind of like memory I have. And it makes a lot of sense too, because I got very much into kind of like that 80s new wave sound as a kid. And that Steve Miller song, Abracadabra, was a very new wave song. I mean, that's like his new wave,
I was going to say, you're throwing Steve Miller into new wave, which is Psychedelic Furs is new wave. And listen to Abracadabra.
It's got synthesizers, it's got keyboards. It's a new wave song. He's not a new wave artist by any means. Yeah. But that was his foray, I think, into it. And it was a huge hit. So like when I was 6 years old in like 1982 or whatever it was, that song was everywhere. I mean, that was one of his biggest hits. So that was a huge, great, groundbreaking song for me. That kind of, like I said, that transferred into leading me down the road into more like new wave stuff, kind of like Duran Duran and.
Do you remember how you heard that song? Was it on the radio?
Oh yeah, totally. It was on the radio.
Totally on the radio.
That was just it was a radio hit. I picked up somewhere. I remember not knowing the name of the song or who sang it. Just I knew the words and I'd go around singing it and telling people like that's my favorite song. Like it kind of defined me where I was like I needed people to know that was my favorite song.
So you just ran around telling people this is it. This is my favorite song.
Yep.
Now, how did you get further? How did you get past that? Like, did your parents just say, okay, my son's weird. He likes Steve Miller. And we have to go get him the Steve Miller tape.
Well, maybe they did. I honestly, I don't know. No, I never had the tape of that song. I never had a record or whatever it was. Like that song kind of came and went. I was probably fascinated with all of maybe 1 month, but that seemed probably like an eternity when you're 6 years old. I gradually moved on to other bigger and better stuff. But it's funny when you listen to Dylan's podcast, when you had him on the first podcast, he told you a story about how his dad played "I Want to Hold Your Hand" for him, and it kind of completely opened him up.
It was his neighbor.
His neighbor played "I Want to Hold Your Hand" for him, and that changed him. And it's weird because that almost same scenario happened for me. My dad played "I Want to Hold Your Hand" for me by the Beatles, but it had the opposite effect. I heard that song and was completely turned off by it. It sounded old-timey. It sounded corny. It was cheesy. Like in my head, it was like old people music. Like my dad playing "I Want to Hold Your Hand" for me, and who knows?
It was very simplistic and poppy,
right? And at the time, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what year it was he played that song for me, but there were other songs on the radio, and there were other things that kind of sounded deeper and darker and kind of like more risky and dangerous. You know what I mean? Whereas "I Want to Hold Your Hand," that was just
it was lovey. It was it was something that your mom and dad did listen to. And that's what it was.
And my dad was a big classic rock fan, and I wonder if he had, taken the chance to play something a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more edgy for me, would I have been more, I would have, listened to it more, liked it better. But, that unfortunately that kind of like turned me off of it. And I'm one of the biggest Beatles fans in the world.
Yeah, so that's surprising for me to hear that, because I know how you feel about the Beatles.
Unfortunately, it took me years after that to actually, on my own, kind of go into my dad's record collection and discover the Beatles because of that kind of one first, bad kind of impression.
So you said it turned you off. Now, when you're saying that it kind of turns you off from stuff, were you just, did it turn you off from all music, or did you just like at that time, Abracadabra has already gone and went out of your life, and you heard the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then you just like gave up on stuff, or did you have anything else?
My next kind of memories are like I said, it just seemed old, and I was kind of turned off about anything. Like my dad listened to a lot of like doo-wop and old 50s style music.
Yeah, I think we all of our parents,
sure,
grew up. They're born in the late 40s, maybe early 50s, and that's the music that was there. So.
And like my sister was very much into it when my dad played it, and she'd always try and get him to play it and listen to it. And I was, I just wasn't feeling it, man. Like I couldn't handle it. I was very engaged in like kind of like the 80s zeitgeist, like what was going on, what was current, what was new was very much important to me. So my next kind of, musical discovery, I think was Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry. Was an album that kind of really did a number on me. My musical tastes at the time, I think, were very eclectic, because I'll never forget the story that the way I got Twisted Sister Stay Hungry was we were down the shore at Seaside Heights, and my mom gave me like a quarter to play on the games. You spin the giant wheel and you put a quarter down, and I actually friggin' won. And there were like cassette tapes that you could pick, or cassette tapes or records, and I was torn between Twisted Sister Stay Hungry or Wham! Make It Big were the two cassettes that I had in my hand.
I mean, personally, I think you chose incorrectly, but
I mean, they were like, but that's just like, what kind of kid, like who decides, who has to make a choice between Wham! Make It Big and Twisted Sister Stay Hungry?
But you're saying you had to choose between that. How did you know you had to choose between that? Did you know the music prior to those tapes?
Well, yes, probably, yeah. Wham! Had a couple songs on the radio that I liked, and I'm sure I already knew We're Not Going to Take It by Twisted Sister was probably on the radio. Yeah. I was already very familiar with it.
Watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Twisted Sister is in there.
So yeah, that was it. So then I had, and I took that home and I listened to that tape front to back, like a million times. But also like my mom had a couple Lionel Richie tapes. So I was alternating between Twisted Sister Stay Hungry and Lionel Richie Can't Slow Down. Those were, so like I said, I was very all over the place.
It was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think I think what music does is it allows you to be all over the place. Some of us are very judgy when it comes to stuff, but I think music allows you to be all over the place. Like Lionel Richie, I was very lucky, and I'll talk about this later on in some podcast, but I was very lucky when it came to music. I grew up around a lot of music, and so like Lionel Richie, I grew up to Commodores. That was my first foray into Lionel Richie before his big solo hits. My dad was listening to the Commodores records, and I was sitting there listening to him too.
Yeah.
So it allows you to be all over the place.
Yeah, and I definitely was all over the place. I mean, as a kid, you can't really pin yourself down. You're discovering everything, and everything kind of sounds new and fresh to you. So, and I was just always absorbing, always trying to take music in. And my next kind of big, huge musical impact was Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. That was the first time I ever saved up my allowance to go to the store and buy, music on my own.
Yeah.
Like I said, I won the Twisted Sister tape. My mom had Lionel Richie tape, so I was listening to stuff at home. But this was the first time I knew I needed to go out and buy a record. Well, actually, I wanted the tape, but when I got to ShopRite, they were out of fucking tape, so I had to get the record.
You could buy music at the grocery store.
Yeah, you could buy video games and music at ShopRite, at the video store. There was no Radio Shack yet. So, but I also had a lot of blank tapes, so I knew that if I just put the record on, I could dub it to a cassette tape. So it wasn't really a big deal. But that was it. That was my first musical purchase.
And so when you got that Tears for Fears album, did that push you into a certain direction that you would kind of like? You and I know each other, so it's hard for me. I know what path you're on, but did you stay on that path for that Tears for Fears sound when you kept going into music? Did you stray?
I think I definitely strayed. I mean, as you get older, you know, there's new bands come out, new sounds. There was, I think I got into like hair metal pretty hard for a while. You know, I wasn't like a hair metal guy. You would never like pick me out as like, oh, that guy's into hair metal. But like I had a lot of hair metal, you know, CDs. A lot of
everyone, regardless of who they are, if they say they weren't into hair metal,
right.
They were into hair metal. That's just the bottom line. You were into it because that was MTV 24 hours a day. It was hair metal. It was Madonna, Michael Jackson, and hair metal.
Yeah, Bon Jovi, "Slippery When Wet" is one of those cassette tapes that probably got way more play in my cassette deck than should have, or you know, rightfully so. But you know, so yeah, it's definitely Poison. You know, all those, all that crap, that glam rock shit was pretty big for me for a while. You know, I guess until, you know, like you guys talked about, until like Nirvana and Pearl Jam came along, and you know, that was a
and that was your drastic change.
I mean, sort of yes and sort of no. The band that really changed it was Dramarama. It was a band called, the album was vinyl. And I remember being at my friend Jay Clark's house, and he popped a tape in, and he goes, you got to listen to these guys. They're called Jamarama. I was like, Jamarama? That's just the way, I think that's just the way he was saying it. So I was like, oh, come on, man. And at the time, I had this weird misconception. I think a lot of people kind of have, is that I trusted the radio. I always thought it was the radio's job to sift through all the music in the world and play the best for you. You know what I mean? It wasn't really until I heard Dramarama where I was like,
well, we didn't have a choice, really.
Yeah.
We didn't have that option to find stuff.
Yeah. It was
as kids
much,
in
much
high
harder.
school, you didn't have that option.
Yeah.
The radio told you what you were listening to.
Yeah, true. But I mean, there were record stores that you could go and find and dig out underground music and stuff like that. But
find the cool guys that would help you out and try and teach you.
Right.
If there were nice guys. You know, you had some guys at record stores that would be like, you'd walk in, ask for an album, and he was too punk rock to even help you get a Dramarama. Yeah, shit all over you. Dramarama, get the fuck out of here. We don't sell that shit here. We only sell Fugazi and Green Day. Who are you?
Well, I mean, it's funny because the first time I bought a Dramarama album was at the store where Dramarama actually formed in the basement, and so the guy, obviously had a fucking story for me when I bought the CD. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, I trusted the radio. I figured if a band wasn't on the radio, it was because it wasn't good. You know, not for the millions of other reasons why independent music doesn't get played on the radio, and Pale and whatever. You can go down a whole nother rabbit hole with that. But I remember listening to this album and being, oh my God, like this is like some of the best stuff I've ever heard. This completely changed like my whole outlook on, wow, there is music out there that's absolutely fantastic that I'm completely unaware of. And that's what sent me down the rabbit hole of just going to the CD store, going to Sound Exchange, and picking a letter and going and looking for a band that had a cool sounding name, or maybe were on a label that I was aware of, and just buying it.
Or even cool album covers.
Covers, cool name, cool label, like, one of those three, or hopefully two of those three things. And I'd take it home and I'd pop it in the CD player, and 9 out of 10 times it was a winner because it was just good. You know what I mean? And it was exactly what I was looking for. It was filling that need that I was craving. I was hungry and hungrier for more music that was out there. It was blowing my mind that there was this fucking excellent music that was out there that I was unaware of.
Yeah, and I think, and I talk about this a lot, I think it's so easy nowadays, and it's good and it's bad. It's very easy to find new music and to search. You have all these different websites that you can listen to, find new bands, find stuff. I miss that search, that digging through, like you said, picking a letter and searching for a band by the name, the album cover, and just something that, one of my favorite albums of all time, Sunny Day Real Estate's Diary. I found it only because I was searching. I was like, Sunny Day Real Estate, who is this? The album cover was amazing. And then I looked on the back and it was Sub Pop Records. And I'm like, Sub Pop? I'm like,
Sounds cool.
I'm like,
or you knew them already?
I knew Sub Pop already. Nirvana was on Sub Pop before they, got signed with DGC and stuff. But I was like, okay. And I put it in my CD player in my car on my way home. And I was like, it was
life changer.
Complete life changer.
Yeah.
Completely changed the path I would go on for a long time in music. Completely got me out of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and all that kind of stuff that was popular. And I was like, what is this magic I'm listening to? I've never heard anything like this. But that was that searching and just finding it and pulling it out and seeing that album cover and seeing the name.
Yeah.
And I think, nowadays you can go on Bandcamp and you just see something, you click on it, you get to listen to it for free. And if you like it, you go on. But there's none of that. I don't get that exhilaration I do anymore of getting in the car and putting in a new tape or a CD and it just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to preview it or anything. I took a chance.
Right.
I took a chance.
Yeah, and that feeling of discovery, like you discovered something that nobody else has. You know what I mean? Was a real high.
Yeah. Oh, it's still
really
a high
was.
for me. It's still a high when I find new music or I see a new band for the first time live. That I'm like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Why are they the third opening band? On a 4-band set. They're amazing.
Yeah. This is the band that should be headlining.
Exactly.
And it was always you'd get that album, you discover it, and you couldn't wait to get home and tell your friends. It was like, dude, you got to hear this. Listen to what I just heard, because you were the man now. You were the guy who hit these.
You
guys.
had it.
You had it. You were the guy. Yeah.
You're like, look what I got, guys.
Yeah. You're like, holy shit, dude! You discovered this? Wow. Yeah, you might as well be the guy in the band. Like you were that cool.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, you were the record producer at that time because you're giving it out to everybody. You're the marketing
Basically,
and PR guy.
Sure.
Essentially.
I mean, that's all there is. I mean, there was no internet. There was no other way for people to freaking discover this.
And then you always had that one friend who just shit on you. You're like, this is fucking garbage. I don't. Who wants to listen to this? This is terrible. Meanwhile, you just played him. Pearl Jam's Verses that came out, and he's like, this is garbage.
It's not You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC.
Sorry.
So it's garbage.
Yeah.
It's not something he's heard a million fucking times. So it's got to be garbage. I fucking hate those people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather...
I don't. I love you people. I love all you people.
I'd rather listen to something I've never heard before than something I've heard for the millionth time. And you get these people who walk in and just hear something they don't know and are like, what the fuck is this? Get this shit off.
Well, that was... I mean, for me, one of the big things that ever changed, that I saw a drastic change when it came to music, was Green Day. I mean, I was into Green Day. Kerplunk was one of my favorite albums, and I would listen to Green Day. I had a Green Day shirt on. Right. I was kind of a punk rock skater kid growing up, and all the jocks, all the football players. I played soccer. I wasn't. You were the different group of people, and they're like, oh, turn this pussy shit off. This is terrible. And then 94 hits and Dookie comes out.
They're all listening to it.
And it's all on the radio. I remember calling 104.3 when it became the alternative rock station, saying, can you play When I Come Around? And they go, what? I go, can you play When I Come Around by Green Day? And the guy on the phone goes, yeah, I don't know what that is. And then 2 months later...
A DJ.
Yeah, a DJ. Didn't know what it was. 2 months later, I got, quarterback of the football team rolling up in his Jeep Wrangler with the top off, blasting Green Day. Meanwhile, 2 years ago, he's pushing me into a locker because I looked stupid because I had a Green Day shirt.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's happened too to like guys who were listening to Bleach by Nirvana. Like they were probably getting bullied and or shit on for their choice of music, and then 2 years later, Nevermind comes out and. Next thing you know, it's mainstream. It's funny.
It's that big change. Yeah. It's crazy. So with Dramarama, I know they're a huge part of your life. Personally, I know you're friends with John Easdale from Dramarama. So you really dove deep into them and to a point where you were, not only, super fan 99 of Dramarama, but... Did that lead to other perspectives in music? You said it opened your eyes that there's a whole new world out there. Did it push you to other places for that?
It led to me discovering, some of my all-time favorite bands. That was the gateway. That opened up, and I just, like I said, I couldn't get enough. I was constantly buying CDs, buying albums, looking for more music, just spreading out. So yeah, I mean, that was the whole, kind of indie awakening for me was Dramarama.
That's awesome. I love the indie awakenings because there is so much independent music out there that needs to be there needs to be so much more. And that's why I'm doing this. I want to get more people. That's why at the end I have my weekly threes. I want to get new music out there, and I want people to listen to stuff. But sorry about that. I thought I'd turn things off, but apparently not. Here we go. It's bullshit texts coming through in group texts.
Nice.
Fucking hate those things. Yeah. Just so everybody that's listening, take me out of your group fucking texts. So going from that, Dramarama, is that a band that I talk about mood control? Is that something that, like, when you just aren't feeling great or you need something, is that what you're going to put on? Or do you have something that, like, when you're not feeling good, I always talk about music, you can put on a song when you're feeling sad, it makes you happy. You can put on a song when you're feeling happy and it makes you sad. Like, is that one of those bands that does that for you? Or do you have like a playlist?
I do have certain songs that will always make me smile no matter what. I'm kind of weird in the sense that maybe I'm not weird. Maybe other people like this too. But if I'm sad or down in the dumps or whatever, I put on sad music and that makes me kind of happy. It makes me like hearing somebody sing about being miserable makes me kind of happy, like makes it more okay.
Because you're not alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not alone. It gives you that feeling of not being
right.
alone.
Somebody else is going through it, so you're kind of like, all right, I'm not alone. I feel this is normal the way I'm feeling. Like this guy's singing about having his heart broken. My heart was broken, so I'm like, okay, I'm all right.
Yeah.
So,
so he's singing directly to you.
Right.
You feel that kinship.
That's always comforting, right?
Is
more
nice.
Sadder music, the sadder it gets when I'm sad is always very comforting.
So when we talk a lot about music, and I mean, sure, you walked into the studio here today, and I'm just always listening to music and playing music.
Of course.
You found that indie touch, and you talked about branching out. Do you have to always be finding new stuff to satisfy your musical taste, or are you okay with what you have now in life?
Yeah. For the last couple of years, I think I've been okay. My continual search for music has kind of weaned off a little bit. It's not as prevalent. It's not, all encompassing as it used to be. I've been kind of relying more on like friends such as yourself and, other people to kind of like hit me to what's cool. I'm not, constantly scouring the internet looking for bands that sound like this band, bands that sound like that, offshoots. Because it's very time consuming.
It is time consuming. It upsets me a little bit though that you don't have that, because you were a big influence in my finding music as well. I mean, we would go tit for tat sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
You'd be like, dude, check this out. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. No, but you have to check this out.
Right.
And it was like one on top of the other.
We're trying to one up each other.
Exactly.
It's just basically,
Yeah, and then we just have 50 stacks of CDs in the middle of the room.
Right.
And we were up for 24 hours just listening to the music.
Just going song for song, back and forth. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's I've kind of gotten a little stagnant in that. I mean, I have a ton of music. Like you've given me a whole booklet full of CDs and stuff that I'm probably still working my way through. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I mean, I think just as you get older, you kind of sit back on your laurels and kind of just enjoy what you got. Like the discovery is a little bit gone. It's a little bit harder too, I think, because sometimes I find that some of the newer stuff that I'm hearing just doesn't resonate. I mean, maybe like I feel kind of old. Am I just old? And I'm kind of just missing out on like.
Sometimes I think you just find like hearing the wrong stuff, and I am that person who scours.
Right.
I am. Listen, I travel a lot for work.
Yeah.
I have a lot of times that I spend long nights in a hotel room all by myself, and there's nothing on TV. I'm not going to sit there and watch Netflix, and I'll go down the rabbit hole of just trying to find new music. And you do have to weed through a lot of shit to get to the good stuff.
Sure.
But when you find that good stuff, it's really good. But it is time consuming, and that's why I enjoy being the person that digs and is able to bring new stuff and be like, wow, you got to check these guys out. Yeah, they're 18 years old and they're amazing. So, there was a band, they're out of New Jersey, Pine Grove. and kids are 18 years old. They're out on tour already. They're amazing. I saw them. They played a sold-out show, and I just didn't know that such stuff was out there anymore.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is great. And they're 18 years old, and they're making amazing music. And
just hit that sweet spot for you.
Yeah, they just hit that spot. And it was awesome to see. But I go to see them, and there was 2 bands that opened up for them. And all of a sudden, I fell in love with them, too. And I'm like, listen, I'm in my 40s, and there's, 19-year-olds on stage. But I was still like, this is...
You're still impressed.
I'm still impressed. There's some good shit out there, but you do have to weed through some bad shit.
And there's nothing like that discovery, too. Especially seeing a band live can really... have such a unique impact on you. I mean, it's one thing to hear a record or a recording of a band and be like, that song's okay. When you see them live and they deliver that same song with the energy and the passion, you're forget about it.
You know how things are nowadays. You got Pro Tools and everything is massively overproduced. Yep. Even if you're an indie band, a lot of stuff is massively overproduced. And you hear a song like, but you go see it live and it does blow you away because it's raw.
Right.
There's no backing. There's no producer behind it. You're hearing the song for what the song is supposed to be, which is awesome. And that's why I love live music, and that's why any chance I get, I'm at a show.
Yeah.
So going back to some stuff here, and that first musical memory that you had, you brought up Twisted Sister. Now, Twisted Sister is, I think, very overly judged for what they look like and not what they actually were. They were a great rock band.
All those bands were. Literally all those bands were. From Black Sabbath up. I wouldn't say
all those bands. I mean all that makeup and leather and chains.
Before anybody listened to them, they were judged.
But then you got a guy like Kip Winger who's just coming out with a ripped T-shirt and was smoking hot.
Sexy boy.
I mean, that's what he was. That was a little change with that hair metal stuff.
We could start a whole nother podcast based on the underappreciated works of Kip Winger.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I want to go to his band camp out in Vegas, just to, not even to play an instrument, just to hang out with Kip Winger right now. Because he was amazing. He's a gorgeous man. Gorgeous man. But when it came to the Twisted Sister stuff, I know how you felt about Twisted Sister. I know how you feel about them. Did that lead to any heavier metal? Were you ever into that heavier metal stuff? Because I think Twisted Sister kind of started to push the boundaries of getting into heavy metal.
Yeah, no, well, and especially as when did that album come out? 83, 84? I mean, I must have been like 8 years old listening to Stay Hungry. I mean, that was a dangerous album for, as a kid. That was kind of like, ooh, that was kind of scary. That was one of those where, like, I don't think if my parents kind of knew what was in that album or like what that album was about, they probably wouldn't have let me have it. But I don't know that it really opened up the doors for metal. I was never really a big metal guy. Like I said, the hair metal, but that doesn't really count. I was also
you had some metal friends too, right? Like you had some guys that were big into metal.
Yeah,
that you hung out with.
There were definitely some Metallica. I mean, I listened to some Metallica. I really enjoyed Pantera. But also as a kid, I had Quiet Riot's Metal Health, but I don't know if that's kind of like along the same lines of Stay Hungry. That's not
that's
really.
I mean, talking metal here, and you went with Quiet Riot.
Right. But I mean, that's probably as metal as I get. Then, to be honest with you.
All right.
Like I don't do the.
So, do you think when it comes to stuff, I talk about the overrated, underrated success of bands. Last week I brought up Third Eye Blind as a band that I always, I think they were overrated for their shitty hits, but they were underrated for their songs that no one ever listened to because they didn't buy the whole album.
Yeah.
Do you think Twisted Sister is one of those for you, or do you have somebody else that you think is completely overrated but completely underrated in some aspects as well?
I don't know. That's a tough question.
That hard-hitting questions.
Yeah. Twisted Sister, I don't know. I mean, really, I never really listened to much more than Stay Hungry, that one album. There's so many underrated bands. I mean, so many bands that you listen to that you just can't believe they never got famous. Like how did the Posies, back to our friendship, starting, the Posies, like that's a band where we can both look at each other, play a song, and go, how is this not the hugest thing in America right now?
Yeah, and God, we've seen them so many times. become pretty, it's nice when you can see a band and someone who's kind of like, one of my idols, Ken Stringfellow, and he knows your name,
Sure,
says hello.
Nicest guy in the world.
Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's really hard when, you know how hard they work, and to be able to sit down at a dinner table with people that haven't heard of them, it kind of hurts you. It hurts me
Take it personally.
Yeah, I take it personally that people haven't heard of them before,
Right.
and it's like, how have you not heard of these guys? They're amazing.
Right.
So but they weren't really overrated. They couldn't.
No, they're not overrated.
Extremely underrated.
They're extremely underrated. Yeah, I mean,
you're going to keep that just for an underrated?
Sure.
Hey, that's fine. Hey, it's you answer the question how you want to answer.
It's tough to pick a band that's both underrated and overrated. You know what? You know what's funny is you might say, like, this is going to be crazy. I would say like the Beatles. Like, a lot of people say the Beatles are overrated, but you can't be overrated if you're like the best band that kind of ever was. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're still underrated. I think there's still songs that are on deep tracks on Beatles albums.
Yeah, I think that's a big statement, though. Best band that ever was. I mean, to a lot of people. Listen, I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's one of the things that I talked about how I'm a musical snob, but I understand. I don't have to be a fan, and I don't have to be a Beatles fan to understand why they're as beloved as they are.
Sure.
But for me, that's just not who they were. And I know you lean more Lennon than McCartney, right?
If you made me list my top 10 Beatles songs, the first 2 might be Lennon songs, and then like the next 6 might be McCartney songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It's I think I kind of like them almost equally.
I mean, and
Lennon maybe gets a slight edge.
I can see how you could pick that too as an underrated, because their catalog is, they probably have 55,000 songs.
Easily. I could play a Beatles song for you that you've never heard and blow your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right. So listen, I'm going to be okay with that.
Okay.
I'm going to be okay with you choosing them.
Right. You put me on the spot. That's what I went with.
So are the Beatles your favorite band? Like, would you say that?
I put the Beatles on like another level. You know what I mean? When you
like, they can't be your favorite band because they're
because they
90%
the idea of saying, like, somebody says, "What's your favorite band?" You say the Beatles. I just roll my eyes. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Like, come on.
All right,
like, now we got that out of the way. Now, who are your favorite bands? Like that's just a given.
Yeah. So is that what your take away the Beatles?
Take away the Beatles.
You go Dramarama, Twisted Sister. I mean,
Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah,
Dinosaur Jr. probably number 1. Twisted Sister. Steve Miller's got to be number 2.
Steve Miller's number 2. Obviously,
yeah.
I mean,
Wham is up there. No, Dinosaur Jr., Sebado, I Love Lou. Built to Spill is up there, and then you got the Posies, Matthew Sweet, Teenage Fan Club. All right there, Dramarama, they're all right there.
Yeah, and they all have what's amazing is you do kind of figure out that they have the sound.
Yeah,
it's all kind of that same sound. Like, and listening to some of that stuff and putting things together. Talking the Posies and Dinosaur Jr. The Posies had that louder sound with Frosting on the Beater that kind of went to Dinosaur Jr., Where You Been, and then Matthew Sweet kind of when he got to Altered Beast, got that grungier sound, and it all kind of like shows that progression in how that's...
all that early 90s sound. I mean, I was doing some research on some albums and stuff, and you wouldn't believe the amount of epic, life-changing albums that came out in 1993. I think that might be like the most prevalent year, like honestly, like life-changing year in terms of music for me. You could just like Teenage Fan Club 13, Dinosaur Jr., Where You Been, Hi-Fi, Sci-Fi, Dramarama. I mean, I could just go on and on. Like they're like
we can do a whole nother podcast just on 93
just on
released
90
albums.
These albums in 93 is just, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there were so many bands from back then too that were, to us, I think they were popular, but people still didn't know who they were. Yeah. Like Pavement and Quicksand and bands like that were to us, they were they were really big because they were on 120 minutes or something, and you thought they were popular, but they never really were. Yeah. But those are life altering albums too that came out.
Absolutely, 100%. You know, and it was all indie rock. You know, until that kind of emo explosion kind of took over a little bit. You know what I mean? Like Promise Ring and Jimmy Eat World and Appleseed Cast and Sunny Day Real Estate, all, you know, in that late 90s.
I think you're starting to name a lot of bands that a lot of people might not have heard of. To us, they were big. That I hate that. I've talked about it. I hate the lumping of emo. I get where it comes from.
Right. Because it just means so many things. It means different things to different people.
Yeah, different things to different people. There's a connotation that goes with it that I kind of don't like. You have heavy metal, you have hair metal, you have emo.
Right.
I mean, couldn't we have done something different? Couldn't we have come up with a better name for it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it worked in that kind of period of time, in like a 3 or 4 year time frame in like 97 or like 96 to 2000, I think. Yeah. It worked because music, I think, had changed at that point. There really was a new sound that people were kind of having a hard time to like kind of identifying. And I think it worked. Yeah. But then it just got slapped on everything and it just kind of like lost all meaning.
Oh, I mean, I think every record company was out there trying to get the next new emo band, especially after Jimmy Eat World, comes out. Yeah. With the middle. I mean, that was a big thing too, of punk rock for a while. I mean, every band after Green Day made it big. Yeah. Everybody's going out trying to sign the next Green Day. And
grunge. Everybody's trying to sign the next Nirvana.
And it was,
oversaturate the market.
Oversaturate the market and put out a lot of shit. A lot of garbage.
Give it a bad name. So it's like when somebody says, I like emo, they immediately go, ooh, like they start thinking of all those terrible, shitty bands.
Yeah, but they never
shouldn't be called emo.
Exactly, but they didn't have a chance to hear Appleseed Cast or one of my favorite bands of all time, Elliott.
Of course.
False Cathedrals. I mean,
one of my all-time best albums. Desert Island Disc.
I mean, it really is for me, and that's where I go with. I like to talk about what's a perfect album to me for one of mine. I mean, I got so many because I have so much music, but Elliott, False Cathedrals, to me is from first song to last song is just an amazing album. And I use my wife sometimes as a radar on music, and it's not because she knows a lot about music, because she likes some horrible shit. Yeah. But when I can play something that is, I got to say, 90% of the world has never heard of it. I might even go 95% of the world has never heard of Elliott. Yeah. But when I can put on something that's so different and her go, what is this? I love this. Yeah. It's a home run.
Of course.
So do you have an unskippable album? Like you can give, if you have more than one, I'm totally fine with that because I have probably 150. Yeah. Right. But do you have some unskippable album, something that you're always going to go to that you put it on, you hit play, and then you don't stop until it's over?
Oh, there's a bunch. Lemonhead's The Shame About Ray. Weezer, the first two Weezer albums, Blue Album and Pinkerton, are both that way.
I don't think Pinkerton gets enough credit. I think Pinkerton is better than Blue.
I used to say it was better than Blue too. Now I'm kind of 50-50. I think they're about equal.
Well, because there's so many hits on Blue too. Right. I mean that you're just like, okay, this was amazing.
Blue was oversaturated. Yeah, it was oversaturated, and then when Pinkerton came out and didn't get the love it deserved, I kind of took it under my wing as my baby and like defended it to like, oh, Pinkerton's better, it's better, it's better. And now that I'm older,
you fought the fight on Pinkerton.
I fought the fight on Pinkerton. Oh yeah, hard for years. Now I'm kind of, I think they're 50-50. I can't really give one edge one way or another. But yeah, they're both masterpieces. Christie Front Drive, self-titled album, front to back, masterpiece.
Another emo band for you guys out there, Christie Front Drive. Eric Richter's come out with some amazing
vinyl,
stuff.
Matthew Sweet, Girlfriend. There's just...
You can keep going, man. I mean, it's yours. You can keep running.
Sebadoh, Bake Sale, Dinosaur Jr., Green Mind, And You're Living All Over Me, Posey's Frosting on the Beater, and Deer 23. It's,
I was waiting for Frosting on the Beater.
Yeah. Masterpiece.
So there's a lot. So we've come... we've come to
as music lovers, you and I,
Yeah.
we've discovered our share of perfect albums. I mean, there's a list. They're rare. I mean, I probably have over close to 3,000 CDs, and I could probably maybe 20 perfect albums.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think they're rare. I think there's probably more that we would probably find that's in that 3,000 set of CDs that you have.
I mean, you can nitpick. You can nitpick.
And
it's really nitpick.
I wouldn't even say nitpick. I think if you go back to stuff, and I think that's one of the things too that like I like to go back. You can sit here in my studio and you see all my records, all my CDs, my tapes, and I love just walking over and being like, oh my God, I forgot about this album, and putting it on and being like, I remember I liked it, and now I love it, and it could go into my unskippables. Yeah. Do you have like stuff that you just forget about, or something that you probably forgot about? Maybe I've jarred your memory a little bit, sitting here talking about music that you want to get out there that you forgot about, or somebody that you think needs more credit and you want people to listen to or find out about?
Yeah, I think Matthew Sweet's album In Reverse never got enough love. I think it's a very underrated album. I think it came out after Blue Sky on Mars. I don't know if there were any actual like radio played hits off the album, but front to back, it is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's as good as anything he's ever done. It's a little bit of a different sound. It's the album, I think, kind of has a very coherent kind of theme to it and sound to it, but a couple listens in and forget about it. You'll absolutely love it.
I think he was, and I love Matthew Sweet as well. You and I went to see him a couple years ago, and I don't think he ever got enough credit. I think for me, sometimes he could fall into that overrated, underrated, because he had some hits. Yeah, he had some hits, but his catalog is extensive. I mean, for me, anybody that does an album with Susanna Hoffs, right? They just put out an album together, right? You're fantastic.
He's got 4 or 5 albums that are as good as anything anybody's done. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, he's honestly one of my favorites. What else? I could say Built to Spill. I feel like Built to Spill doesn't get enough love. They were like really huge for like a couple of years there, and then they just kind of. Well, I think people just stopped talking about them. They're still making music and stuff, but
they're still making music. They're still touring. They're still playing. I saw them a couple of years ago. I mean, they're still doing their thing. I think they were different. Fantastic. I think they hit that different button probably on MTV that people go, oh wow, these guys are different, and then they stayed that way. Yeah, and everybody's like, well, maybe I wasn't into different type of music. I love Built to Spill. Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right,
Matthew Sweet, Built to Spill. Yeah,
Built to Spill. Yeah, I mean. I've been listening to some older stuff. I've been listening to like some Billy Squier, Mott the Hoople. Just kind of.
Dude, Billy Squier's first album. Yeah.
It's dynamite.
I'm here to tell you, people, if you haven't gotten Billy Squier's first album,
if you only know Billy Squier from like 1 or 2 songs,
you're completely missing out.
You're really missing out.
Completely missing out. That Squire album is fantastic for me too. Like something like that rock and roll. I think we're missing some great rock and roll. One of those bands for me is just forget. There's a band called Slade. Okay. SLADE. Yeah. British band in the 70s. They actually outsold the Beatles in the UK in the 70s. Wow. No one knows who they are. But if you want...
I think I've heard the name, definitely.
Slade. Okay. Check them out. Right. They're 70s. They're straight up rock. One of the best vocals you're ever going to hear out there. All right.
Yeah. Put it on my list.
So, do you have any... Dave and I last week talked about, and I got something out of him, and your name came up. He mentioned you directly on this, right, and it was.
I did hear that.
It was a guilty pleasure list. Do you have any guilty pleasures that? I mean, I want to put people on the spot, but I mean, you kind of laid the pipeline,
right? Honestly, I'm not saying that I don't listen to some terrible music, but I completely own it. Like, there's nothing I would listen to that I enjoy that I'd feel guilty about. It's, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. Like, I really can't
You don't have anything like you just don't go take a shower and put on Christina Aguilera and
Cyndi Lauper?
That's cheap. I mean, Cyndi Lauper's not. I wouldn't say Cyndi Lauper's guilty pleasure. She's fantastic.
She is fantastic.
She's
right.
fantastic. Her performance on MTV Music Awards, if no one's ever seen it,
where she does the Prince cover.
Yeah,
When You Were Mine with the paint.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest things. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. She
absolutely nails it.
Yeah, I think
her voice is one of the most amazing. She's probably.
I think she can fall into that category of overrated, underrated too. I think she really can. Yeah. I mean, she was amazing. Yeah. She was amazing.
She had a lot of great hits, and she's still plugging away. But I mean, was she really appreciated? I mean, people know girls just want to have fun and like she-bop and like something like that. But her voice
True
is
Colors.
So good.
Yeah.
True Colors, All Through the Night. There's a live video of her singing All Through the Night. I think it's from Japan. It's absolutely incredible, man. She absolutely nails it. It's ridiculous.
We are hitting on some shit today. Yeah. Wow. So no guilty pleasures. You're not. You'll own up to anything.
Yeah. I can't. I honestly can't think of any.
Yeah, I honestly,
Steve Miller, Abracadabra.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. I mean,
that's probably
the guiltiest as you can get. And I'll give that one to you. I'll let you have that because I've known you a long time, and I've listened to like all of your stuff.
Yeah,
and I would have heard something guilty come out where I would have said, "What the fuck are you listening to right now?" It's not.
But also, I would have been like, "What? What are you talking about? This is awesome."
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Why are you being such
doesn't everybody like
judgy
this?
prick?
Yeah, what?
And that's fine. That's fine. So we're coming in on some time here. I like to end this with our weekly threes. 3 things that you're listening to right now. And I always say it doesn't have to be brand new music.
Right.
3 things you're listening to right now that you listened to the past week or two that you're just enjoying, that you're constantly finding on. I was in your house the other day, you had music on. So you always got music on for something.
Yeah, of course. So, it's like you said about before with parties, like even just normal day-to-day stuff, I like to have music on in the background, whatever I'm doing. Recently I discovered Better Oblivion Community Center, and that led to my obsession with Phoebe Bridgers. So,
she's
amazing.
Amazing. She's fantastic. She is. She's getting up there now. She's put out an album with Conor Oberst from Bright Eyes. She's getting to be that indie darling. But when I found her a couple of years ago, I was like,
right.
Who is this angelic voice that I'm listening to? She's amazing. Her new album is phenomenal.
Her voice will hypnotize you like a snake charmer. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, it was Better Oblivion Community Center, and when I heard them, I heard the song Dylan Thomas. All I could hear was her voice. It's her and Connor singing, and I know Connor. I know Bright Eyes.
Yeah,
I didn't even recognize his voice. Like her voice was all I could hear.
Just
like
overpowered.
My ears literally just like kind of zoned out his voice and sold in on hers. So I discovered her, and I've been listening to her. She just released a new album not too long ago that I've been listening to kind of nonstop.
Yeah, it's in my new Arrivals bin over here.
Awesome. Okay, that's very good. We'll have to put that on next. So yeah, I mean, it's basically I've been listening to Phoebe Bridgers, and that led to a Better Oblivion Community Center, led to Phoebe Bridgers, and actually now because of that, I've been playing some old Bright Eyes as well. Kind of gone back into that.
All right.
So kind of a theme there. You got the
hey, listen, but that's how music works, and that's what I love about music. One thing led you to another because it's this kind of the same thing, and it just keeps going. And that's what I love about music.
Two new things and one old thing.
Cool.
So I just want to apologize for my voice a little bit. You know, I don't know if you could tell I'm kind of losing it a little bit as we're going along here. I was actually was at the doctor's today. I had a doctor appointment today, and he told me that I had a bit of a high blood pressure, that I need to stop masturbating. And I said, like, why? He said, because I'm trying to examine you.
And there it is, folks. So we have the dad joke section of the podcast now. Looks like we're going to add dad jokes to this.
Yeah, got to go out on a big high.
Yeah, big high. I mean, big high. So on that note, I'm going to give you my weekly 3. And I mean, got to kind of recoup from that
the hilarity.
Joke. Yeah, everyone here right now is laughing hysterically in the background. My weekly 3 are Ways Away, a new band, Surge from Sam I Am and the Jealous Sound and Racket Club has a new band called Ways Away. phenomenal. New album just came out. I is another. Jonah from, the list goes on in the bands that he's fronted. One Line Drawing, New End Originals, Gratitude, Far. And then Prawn. Prawn is a great band. They're musically instrumental. Just some great music out there. So coming in on the end of this. So Hidden Tracks Podcast, episode number 3. I'd like to thank Thom Graney AKA GBALL from Critical Condish for joining me.
Reunion coming up soon. Be on the lookout.
And, I want to tell him to fuck off for that dad joke that he threw into here. Not going to edit it out because we like to do this raw, kind of like he likes to do in the doctor's office. So I want to say thanks to everybody. Thanks for joining in. You can find us on Spotify. Please, if you're listening to us, send us your likes, follow us. You can find us at myhiddentracks.com. Website's up. Check it out. There's a lot of pictures out there. On Twitter at myhiddentracks1. Hidden Tracks on Facebook. Instagram, we are HiddenTracks99. I want to say thank you to everybody. Everyone have a great time.